Hello, everyone. I'm Miss Finlon, and welcome to a very interesting curriculum night this year. So this PowerPoint, there's a very similar one on Schoology already that I went through with the students on the first day of school, but this covers all of the key information that you and your student needs to know for the academic year. The first thing is a little silly. This is how I take attendance during Zoom. It's not always this question, but it's always kind of a silly question or poll that students answer in the chat. It gets them talking, it gets them kind of engaged in class, as I can use those couple minutes to go through the chat and see who is here. So you're welcome to answer this one if you would like. The main thing that is different this year, I guess besides being online, is that I'm going to be conducting my classroom as a flipped classroom. So with a traditional classroom, while students are in the actual room, the teacher is giving notes, students are writing them down, and then when they get home, that's when they do the practice. With the flipped classroom, all of the instructional videos and notes must be completed outside of the Zoom, and then while we're in Zoom, that's where we're going to do the practice. So sometimes that's just worksheets, sometimes it's group work, and other times it's maybe an online activity. These video links can be found on the WAG, also on Schoology. And the WAG contains both the YouTube link and the Schoology MP4 link. So if YouTube's not working, because I know some people still have it blocked on their iPad, the Schoology link is available, so you don't even have to go to YouTube. Generally, there's about one video to watch by the Tuesday or Wednesday class and another video to watch by the Thursday or Friday class. These videos do become available when I post the WAG. So if students would like to watch all the videos over the weekend, they totally can. If they would like to watch one video on Monday night for their Tuesday class, the other video Wednesday night for their Thursday class, it's totally fine as long as they have those videos watched and those notes completed by class. The textbook with the question mark, it's not really with the flipped classroom. I just didn't make a new slide for it. I keep forgetting to mention to the students because we haven't gotten to that part yet. But for the textbook, if your student is in pre-algebra, we do have a textbook. It's a new online textbook, but currently we are reviewing from last year's material. So once we get into new content, we will take a Monday class and I will show students how to access that online textbook. With geometry, we do not have an online textbook, but I do have supplemental material from last year's online textbook. So no textbook for geometry. For pre-algebra, there is an online one, but students don't need to worry about it until we get to new content. With grades, I'm going to try to post grades every Friday. It just depends if Skyward is up and running. Usually there's maybe about 3 to 5 grades each week, depending on what we did that week. And the percentage breakdown can be found on the syllabus because it's a little bit different for geometry versus pre-algebra. But the main thing to pay attention to is any zeros on Skyward. So there can be 2 types of zeros. If it's 0 and marked missing, that means that is an assignment that can be made up during office hours. So usually a student would get this as if they are absent from Zoom class, or maybe they were in Zoom class but were having technology issues and they communicated those issues with me. I put it in as a 0, mark it missing, and that's just to tell the student that if you want to change this 0, you have to come to one of the office hours. If it's 0 and not marked missing, that means it cannot be made up and will remain a 0. Most of the time, this will be from students missing maybe an exit ticket, or they are marked present on the Zoom, but maybe signed in and then put themselves on mute and camera off and then left and just skipped class, essentially. So if that's the case and I catch them doing that, then that 0 remains a 0. The weeks at a glance, the WAGs, these are going to be posted every Friday by 3 p.m. with information for the following week. These WAGs contain links to videos, assignments, various activities, and everything on the WAG can also be found in the corresponding Schoology folders. This is an example of a WAG for pre-algebra. Geometry looks pretty much the same, just different links. But up at the top, it always has the class name, what week we're in, what unit we're in, all the Zoom links, office hour links. That first office hour, I just have a standing Zoom. The second office hour, I'm available through Schoology and email, but if a student would like to set up a Zoom, they just need to let me know and I can set one up. So first office hour is drop-in Zoom. The second office hour is essentially Zoom by request. The middle part, the main thing to pay attention to, materials needed, if there's a calculator or not listed there. If there's not a calculator listed, it's saying students should be able to do this without a calculator. And the anticipated key dates and information, that's going to contain when our next unit test is. So for pre-algebra, It's either on the 29th or 30th of September, depending if your student is a Tuesday, Thursday kid or a Wednesday, Friday kid. The table, this is the important information to know. What do I need to have done before the next Zoom? So the shaded in parts, those are our 3 Zoom sessions. So Monday is the short session. So we usually don't do as much practice that day because it's a 25-minute class, and it will tell what we're doing, any links available. And then this unshaded part, that is saying these are the videos you need to watch by the next day. And there's the YouTube version and the Schoology version. And then optional practice worksheets, optional, meaning it's not required. They don't have to turn it in for submission, but I do suggest they look it over, maybe try a couple problems on it just to see if they really understand the material from the notes. And then on the Tuesday or Wednesday session, that's when we'll do the practice from the previous videos. And then we have an exit ticket due, and yeah, by 3 p.m. And they get activated on Monday at noon. And then after that, they have another video they need to watch by either Thursday or Friday's class. And it is very, very important they watch these videos, because if they don't watch the videos and they come to the next day of class, they're not going to know how to do the practice. And I'm not going to let them watch the video during class. That happened a little bit last week as students were still getting used to watching the videos. They're like, I don't know how to do this practice worksheet. Can I just watch the video right now? And the answer is no. You have to watch the videos outside of Zoom class. The exit tickets, there's an average of about 2 a week. They're going to be due either Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, Friday. They cover the material from the instructional videos. You get 2 attempts per exit ticket, and the best score is what is entered into the gradebook, and they're entered into that homework classwork category on Skyward, which I believe for both geometry and pre-algebra is 20% of the grade, but I might be wrong. I can't remember off the top of my head right now. Spot checks, these will be given on Thursday, Friday to cover material for the week. For pre-algebra, it's usually once every week. Geometry, not as much. And these are going to be entered into the assessment category on Skyward. They get 1 attempt per spot check, and these must be taken during the Zoom class time. They're not available outside of Zoom. So if your student is absent that day, then they need to come to an office hour, and I will activate it for them then. Tests and quizzes. Every unit will end with a unit test. These test dates can be found on the pacing calendar, also on the WAGs, and you get 1 attempt per test, and it will be administered during Zoom class time. So students don't get time beyond Zoom unless they have that accommodation for extended time. And as we get closer to our first unit test, I will reach out to those families and explain how extended time will be run while we're online. And then quizzes will be given when time allows, which with online school, with only meeting 3 times a week rather than 5, we're not going to have as many quizzes as we normally have in the past. In-class practice, this is going to consist of all the practice worksheets, group practice, online activities. Anything submitted to Schoology must be submitted as a PDF. If it's anything else, I'll let the student know. I'll give them a little bit of a grace period to resubmit it, but I can't always open other types of links or images, so it needs to be a PDF. Any students that are missing or who have missed class are expected to make up these practice worksheets during next office hours. Occasionally, depending on the circumstance, they might get an excuse for that activity, but most of the time they need to come into office hours. Now, the question I always get asked by students is this graded or not? So all of the graded activities and worksheets will be listed on Schoology as an assignment and labeled required. I'm also going to introduce all of these activities and worksheets during Zoom class time, and most of the time they have the period and then they turn it in at the end of that period. So very rarely is there required activities worksheets they do outside of class, but sometimes depending on timing, they might have to. Any additional practice worksheets will be listed on Schoology as a PDF and will be marked optional in the WAG. But students are encouraged to complete any accompanying worksheets to the videos, but they're just not required for a grade. The Zoom expectations, so far, everybody's been doing fairly well with this. Just the main thing is they need to be in that waiting room with a name I know them as. So first and last name, it can be the nickname they go by. I'm just not gonna let any students into my Zoom if I don't recognize the name. Phones and distractions put away. I've seen a lot of kids on the video with their phone in their hands or Nintendo Switch or something. So just please encourage your student to have that put away. The chat is used for chat purposes only. If they're participating in class, or I guess if they're on mute unless they're participating in class. and they're actually on the Zoom, no Zoom faking. So that I talked about that a little bit before, where students will come in, turn their camera off, get marked present, but then leave and go do something else during the class time. If they get caught doing that, they lose all their participation points, and they won't be able to make up any work from that Zoom. And then the main thing to end this with is, I keep saying the main thing on all the slides because it's all important information, but communication is probably the most important thing this year because I'm not seeing the students face to face. So the best way as a parent to contact me is through email. With students, they can email or Schoology message, and they should message me as soon as possible if they have any problems, both with material and access difficulties. I can't help or make accommodations if I hear nothing. So if a student is trying to get on Zoom, they're having tech issues, as soon as they can, they should send me a message. Hearing from them within 24 hours, there's a lot more accommodations I can make. Rather, if they let me know a week later they were having difficulties after I already put grades in, then I might not be as lenient and they might have to take that 0 and keep that in the grade book, because students should be proactive, not reactive. They should, if they're having problems with math and the technology, they should let me know as soon as possible and not be reactive when they see that grade in the grade book. Because once it's in the grade book, there's not much I can do. So that is pretty much everything. I said that very quickly, I think. On Schoology is all of this information. Everything is organized by folders. There is the current week folder that has all the material of the current week we're in, but then there also is other folders that contain all of the units. So unit 1 would have all the material from week 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I encourage you with your child or with your student to go through the Schoology page, make sure both of you understand where things are. But as the last slide said, just communicate with me. If you're having any difficulties, let me know. If you have any questions, send me an email. And I look forward to getting to know your students better over this year.